to Blurred Vision. This is the inaugural episode, and Blurred Vision it's a space where we feel like there's a lot of times where there can be either from founders, creators, businessmen, you name it, right? Where there's such a great idea, and there is that moment of what the hell am I doing? And the vision that was so clear is now blurry. But then, as we continue to go, you take those proper steps and hopefully you find clarity, right? And so that's what Blurred Vision is about. And it's about storytelling, it's about, sharing and, what we can do, you know, better together, right? With just information in general. So with that said, I'm with my host John Patch, as we explore these different modalities and just communicate with one another. Um, and yeah, like I said, first guest of the show, we have Isaiah Chavez. Chavous. Oh, I'm gonna edit that one out. Isaiah Chavous, ladies and gentlemen. And then, who is the founder, CEO of Noctal, which it is, first, I would say, human first approach of AI, elevating sound effects, over 200,000 sound effects, I would say, made to work, with us as humans, right? Not take over, right? Which is so great. Just some little bit of background information. Isaiah has done a seed round. I want to say that closed off that was the first round was about 2 million, 2.5 million.
2 million. Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. So $2 million. And, I've sat down with Isaiah once before, shared his story on Tomorrow Magazine, but, I was so intrigued and, I wanted to honestly dive deeper and just be able to share, your story and hear, get more information about you and what's coming next. And yeah, just have a good time with one another.
Can't wait. And thank you for the initial coverage. It was a very tasteful and inspiring way to cover it. It was well done. I appreciate it. A lot of fun.
Oh, yeah. Thank you.
Isaiah, welcome. It's awesome. First time meeting you. I'm excited to hear more.
Absolutely. It's good to be here. We're gonna hopefully have some fun during this time. I think we will.
Oh yeah, I know we will. We will.
It's in our blood.
That's right.
This is great. I mean, I guess to start off with, Isaiah, just kind of going, into it, I want to understand, a little bit about, where you're from, born, raised, your whole experience, college. Let's talk about a little bit, about some of these early years.
Yeah. Formative years. Yeah. So originally I'm from Colorado, grew up in Colorado Springs, and Colorado Springs is an interesting place because it's just a really large version of suburbia, but there's some city aspects and there's some country aspects. It's a peaceful place, but certainly not a place that I don't think, people typically think about when they talk about tech or creativity, music, art, at least at the time when I was growing up. And so conveniently, as it turned out, it ended up being a really good kind of breeding ground for me to be able to ideate. And so throughout high school, I was heavily into music, actually, from grade 6 all the way through grade 12. I was the nerdy band kid who also hung with the cool sports kids, who then weaved his way into the combination between making my own music at some point in time, both playing percussion and literally showing up to basketball games in suspenders and band clothes and changing on the sideline on the court to go, check in for a game. Funny.
That's amazing.
Funny times, man. I used to get flamed. Oh man, ruthless.
Yeah.
But yeah, and so during that time, probably from age, let's say about 13-ish is when I really started taking the craft around audio, content creation, and just trying to build platforms as well. This is where my early love for tech all came together in this way, and started doing performances and shows and hosting events. And I started a company or a brand at that point with one of my good buddies called Wi-Fi Kids. And that actually became, I think, kind of a local phenomena. I mean, we had some major events in Colorado Springs at a young age that were just out of the norm at the time. And so that's where I was from, and spent years seemingly in isolation. At least looking back, that's how it felt. I had good friends, but um, it's not a place where big ideas get facilitated quickly, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's a lot of this push-pull of the threshold for you to be different is a much lower threshold than, say, of course, like in LA or, you know, a lot of other major cities in the country. So then after graduation, I ended up actually giving our commencement speech in high school, which I'll get to why that's kind of cool in a moment, but did that at the Air Force Academy where we have graduation. And then I went to CU Boulder for college.
Okay.
And Boulder has been, I love Boulder. I bleed CU, bleed the black and gold. And Boulder was and continues to be a major home base for me. That's where that threshold of being different, I think, was still relevant. But college is an interesting time. I think most people look back on their college years and they say, oh, that was, you know, the peak of fun or of being able to be carefree and all these things. The way I really viewed it is that era, 4 years for me in undergrad, was the time where you're in the same environment with people doing the same thing at the same time, similar age range. It's really one of the only times in your entire life that happens. And when you take that view in real time, I look at it in a nostalgic way, but even the hardest times were coming from me going against the grain, I think, trying to be different, be disciplined, take routes that are not traditional.
Yeah.
And so as it turned out, still continued music first all the way through college, had some shows out in Boulder, and I got into further into technology, and I was on the course of really going to law school. Now, I didn't really want to be like a practicing attorney per se. That was never my goal. I just wanted to have the credential to do high-level business, technology, and actually I had some political ambitions at that point in time. And then my last year in Boulder, my senior year, I guess middle junior going into senior, this is COVID. I graduated in COVID.
Wow.
Which ended up being a blessing in disguise to force yourself to be able to focus and tell stories with limited outlets, which I was accustomed to in Colorado Springs. I was accustomed to being able to formulate and use yourself as your own sounding board. And I ran for student body president the last year and a half I was there. And for anyone listening or watching, that probably sounds like I am trying to be a snobby straight A student who joined some club that most people don't care about at all, right? That maybe the weird kids are, you know, the ones who do it, or the overachievers. CU Boulder is in a really unique spot actually in the country because the student government there is actually the most autonomous student union in the United States.
Oh, wow. Didn't know that.
Yeah. Which I didn't know that either until shortly before I ran, like, you know, 6 months before that. And really what that means is there's a budget of $26 million roughly that the organization or the union oversees and has direct oversight of. And there's mechanisms in place. There's buildings that are, you know, being paid for by the university, by the student government, staffs. I mean, we're talking permanent staff, benefits, large operation. And so I ran, I won. I ended up being the second Black student body president in history, behind current Congressman Joe Neguse, who I do know. He's a very nice man.
Wow. Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah,
that's pretty dope.
That was a fun one. Stressful, but fun. It was a good era. And so doubled down heavily on those initiatives. Really what I saw was, why is everybody trying to follow a preset path or set of rules? to create change, like go against the grain, like it's okay to be a little bit controversial if you're actually moving something forward. Of course, with like character and ethics in mind always, but founded the Center for African and African American Studies, co-founded that, founded the first ever police oversight board at a public university in Colorado, and then helped eliminate a major prison labor contract between the university system, which is four universities in Colorado, all under one system, along with the Board of Regents, who are elected officials that oversee that system. And it was, I want to say, I'd have to look at the updated stats. It's been a while, but it was certainly well over $100 million in contracted labor where they were providing furniture to all of these universities, and went deep down that rabbit hole. I mean, we spoke with the heads of the prison systems at that point in time, was receiving some scary messaging after this concluded. And as it turned out, a couple of years later, because of that process in motion, it actually dismantled that particular piece of the prison labor system and they went bankrupt. Removed that. I received a Colorado Senate Award for that. I feel like I'm just listing like my resume. Sorry, I'm just like trying to go through the timeline.
I was just going to say, I quit taking notes because I've got writer's cramp. I mean, the ambition, the accomplishments. I mean,
it's like, wait.
You've certainly set your mind to some things that other people would never have thought of, but have certainly overcome a ton of adversity in those challenges, I'm sure.
Oh yeah. I mean, easy to, focus on the timeline for the stuff I like, right? The exciting stuff, the stuff you can stand on inspiration. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of challenges and tribulations you go through, especially being at a school at that time. And I'll say within a range, my freshman year of college at CU, beautiful campus, by the way, beautiful place. But at that point in time, there were about 237 Black students out of 32,000, and that was including athletes.
Wow.
That's significantly changed now, I think, with Deion Sanders, and feels like Black Hollywood has now arrived in Boulder for a time, which is cool. But
now you're all bleeding black, gold, and neon, right?
Yeah, exactly.
yeah, exactly.
So you have your challenges there. You deal with that. Colorado Springs, I think, can very much be, or was, I should say, has a preset mindset about a couple of things that are challenging there. But overall, I don't look back and think, man, that was not worth it. I look back and with fondness. Like, there was a lot of lonely days now that you mentioned, there's a lot of lonely days, being in a position to actually make decisions, to have to actually lead. I mean, I was 20 years old.
Yeah.
Handling that. Yeah, man. Yeah. It's a
I want to chime in. I mean, because easily you could have gone to be Dr. Dre or Barack Obama, from what my headspace. From music to political issues, I don't want jail reform, prison, what all these different topics, right? And again, like you mentioned, you're only 20 years old, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's astonishing, like just like what you've done up to this point, and even what you've done back in Boulder as well. Going backwards a little bit, I kind of just still want to touch base on the music portion, because I know this is a big play in all of it. What about music did you enjoy the most? Because I know you're kind of like within the weeds a little bit, which sounds like with Noctal and everything that's going on. But like, what did you enjoy the most about just, your musical career, which can still possibly still go? You can still go.
You never know. I got the records low key, man. I sometimes gotta record. Just on the hard drive, I got to put them up. It'll be a sleeper tape one day. I mean, music is interesting. To me, there are two mediums that I personally, at that point in time, resonated with, and to this day, of course, still do, but music specifically is the most alive format for communication. It's also, I think, the most experiential form, one of the most experiential forms of anything creative. Like, this is where the emotional basis and the gravity around music is so fascinating, right? Because when somebody's walking through, in the grocery store with their headphones on, or walking to class, or, we walk down the street to the park to walk the dog. If you have headphones on and you're listening to music, it's really the soundtrack to your life.
Mm-hmm.
And you attach nostalgia, right? When everyone's like, oh, it's 2016 summer again, like 2016's here. Like, there's a reason people are saying that, right? It's not just a trope. It's because there was a particular set of events, and there was a soundtrack to people's lives, and there were cultural moments attached to people's lives. And music is a unique medium that you can take it with you, and you could take music with you before you could ever take a movie with you, before you could ever take, anything visual with you. You could take music with you, and music it lives in the abstract. Like, music is more abstract. You're not visually engaging with it. It's in the abstract. And so that's always fascinated me. And it's always been something that feels very close. It's like a pacifier, in a sense. It's tough for me to have silence in my life, because when I want to either think deeply or not think about anything at all, or be mood where I'm feeling motivated and ready to conquer, or want to feel melancholic and present, all of the paradigms of that can be felt, understood, and experienced within music. And audio as a concept is just incredible. It's that transcendence of being in many ways for me. And I look up to that. So
I call that musical mood therapy.
ooh, you got to tweet that right now.
And I subscribe to what you're talking about. It's so visceral when you're listening to a track, or when spring hits and a certain song comes on, and it feels just like you were a teenager again. The windows roll down, you're driving down the road jamming, and it's almost like a smell, but it's through your ears, right? It just, those
Exactly.
memories pop up.
100%. And the creation of that, like, that's the result of someone or collective of people who are really focused on a particular part that no one else is going to call out, right? The way that a pedal was hit, or the way that the rhyme scheme is orchestrated, or the enunciation is changed to have you perceive a different emotion. Like, these are coming from within people that create this output. And so that carries to today. And one more note on that, outside of just music, I love fine art. My uncle is a phenomenal fine artist, David Williams, and I've gotten to see whether that's collage, oil paint, printmaking, all these things spread out through over time. And fine art generally is one of those things that is kind of encapsulated. It's not, you don't take it with you. Therefore, the gravity of that piece carries even more weight, right? The value of it feels more finite because you can see the process in that piece of work, and it's isolated in time. And movies are like an in-between, right? Film and cinema are an in-between. You take nostalgia with you from cinema because you consumed it. And that has that nostalgic quality and the aspect of applying to your life like music does, but it has the permanence of fine art, which I also love film and TV. So, this is, I might be getting too meta right now, but this is where
good stuff. It's good stuff.
Yeah.
This is great. I guess, yeah. So hearing this side of it, because I want to definitely get into Noctal. I want to kind of get into this journey, introduce Noctal to the world, and I'll allow you to do that. From obviously like your crazy college experience to music. And then I think right now Noctal is still a lot focused on just the sound with, I want to correct me if I'm wrong, with the sound of not necessarily music yet. Has it gotten to that point yet? Or is it still more so like
Sound effects.
Sound effects right now,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Walk us through like that creative process of like, hey, I'm not going to be a politician. I'm not going to law school. Don't know yet. Still in the air. Don't know if I'm going to be a music producer yet. However, what was kind of that vision of like, hey, seeing where the world's going and colliding, these different worlds of sound and business, and maybe like, where's this empty space that you saw, and like, what was that like in this creation of this vision that you?
It's a good question. So how we arrived at, how I came to the idea to begin with, was a multi-step process. One of these pillars is related to exposure. So after graduation in 2021, packed my bags, and 6 days after graduation moved to Los Angeles to join a small tech startup out here that was at an even earlier stage than Noctal is today, to move in with the CEO and CTO of that company in a startup house and just get exposed, right? What does it mean to facilitate and identify problem spaces as it relates to something you actually believe in? There's a lot of amazing products, businesses, and just creations in the world that are built solely on the idea and basis of utility. And that's totally fine. There is a need for that, right? If you're solving a problem and there is a solution for it, building around just knowing there's a solution is a formidable and respectable way to build. For me personally, I don't find as much excitement around pure utilitarian stuff. It has to be rooted in some level of domain of interest at least. But for me, it's really that conviction portion. Like, can you arrive at a place of conviction? And so through my time at the previous company, helping scale that to over 50 people, I think I was employee number like 7 or 8 and maybe like number 4 or 5 in the US or something like that. So small company, and we scaled to about 50 people by the time I decided to leave. And the last year I was there, I was leading business development and partnerships. And I actually started there as the EA to both the CEO and COO at the same time, which grossly overqualified coming out of college, and told them such. And they said, yo, slow your roll, come pay your dues, and you'll have access to learn. I, swallowed my 22-year-old pride and was like, okay, whatever. And it was, best decision ever. But understanding through this last year, when I was working with content creators and folks on the Hollywood side, partnering with Michael Bay, Lewis Hamilton, Elton John, Grimes, Snoop Dogg, etc. And then, working with, at the time, a range of creators, micro creators, all the way up to, more prominent at the time, like A-list kind of creators. And the challenge for what we were doing, this last company, we were focused on augmented reality gaming, but in the mobile medium.
Yeah.
Which that sentence alone, most people don't even know what that actually means, right? At that point in time, that was the case. And, is that virtual reality or augmented reality? Fair questions.
Yeah.
And part of my job was to figure out how to tell stories that were appealing to the world in this medium of augmented reality, placing virtual items on top of the physical world around you. And in a game system, there's a lot of education that has to happen. And the format at that time, it hadn't really been done or done and executed well outside of, like Pokemon Go. So I started noticing and getting deeply involved with the creative on both sides of the aisle, Hollywood and creators, whether that's working with them directly or their teams, understanding timelines, helping them craft narrative and educate them on how to tell stories. And then we would brainstorm together. And there was a lot of inefficiencies in that process. One of which happened to be post-production sound.
Mm.
It was an overlooked part of the journey, and it was something that I think most creators aren't considering as heavily as, say, music or the visual cues, right? Because that's the sexier stuff. That's the things that we like to control more often. And so I started ideating, and my first idea was related to music, actually. It was related to leveraging blockchain technology to authenticate and watermark, original works without changing the file type and leaving it to be able to like be compressed multiple times and maintain. There's like a hypothetical that's being worked on now. But the bar to do that at the time was very high. I didn't quite know where to start. And music, I realized I love music, of course, but so does everyone else.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Whether you're a consumer or creator. And that is where a lot of focus was going, was like, we're going to make the future of music in this way or that way. So the sound design portion is where I started. It's still in audio, and there's a lot of innovation that can happen there. So I started there and decided to roll the dice. I made two huge risks. One was leaving undergrad for, moving across the country on a whim, which, by the way, was the lowest paying option I had on the table coming out of graduation by a margin of multiples.
Wow.
So didn't go to law school, didn't, take up some of these corporate offers and all of that.
Opportunity cost, I think, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And making the decision up front that the goal right now isn't to reap the reward. The goal right now is to start and be present in the journey to learn. And once I got to that point of feeling like, okay, like I think I have the tools to do what I've always wanted to do. One of my main goals for many years has been, I want to own my own and run my own business. And not business, I'm almost too broad. I wanted to build world-changing technology. So then when I left, I had landed right before I had departed the last company. I'd finally landed at, why not make a process I know how to deal with as added to it content? I want to make it more efficient. I want to know the content.
Isaiah, I can barely hear you. I don't know if the mic shifted or something.
Oh, can you hear me?
Yeah, much better.
Strange.
Yeah, much better.
Here, let me maybe add to my notifications or something like that. Sorry about that.
No, you're great now.
Okay, cool. Put turn do not disturb on. Yeah, so arrived from music, went to content, which I also love, which is rooted in storytelling. Nothing matters, by the way, if you can't tell a story around it.
That's it.
The only reason we ascribe value to most everything, whether that is super utilitarian, whether that's scientific, whether that's creative, is rooted in some level of story. Even if that's a recounting of fact or a recounting of history, you are telling that story. And that art form is important. And the foundation of storytelling is important. It's in all of our DNA. And so that is really what started to get me like, yeah, it is story. How do you democratize access to new technology to advance people's ability to tell more stories or improve the quality of being told? Did my mic go out, by the way, again?
No,
you're good.
Okay,
great.
Cool.
You're great.
Let me know if that ever happens.
Yeah, you're great.
Cool. Because I got another freaking cool. So it's that storytelling element. I finally landed at the concept for Noctal, and then I brought it to my COO and co-founder, Mr. James Paul, who we worked together at the last company. So we worked a lot on, he was head of community. I was kind of the funnel to bring in community, and he would facilitate and grow that community. And together we, help facilitate many millions of dollars in revenue for that company. But he comes from a background in Hollywood, had been got producer credits on some major feature films, and is one of the most knowledgeable people I know and lean on. And I brought this idea to him, knowing his background and his expertise, and was like, "What do you think?" Like, I think this makes sense. Like, this doesn't exist. There's nothing that exists today, which is a rarity. And he's like, "Yep, this is."
How did you present that for him to say that this does not exist and nobody's done it yet? Well, how did you present it? What was the idea that you came to him with?
It's a good question. If I recall correctly, I think the way I approached him was, it didn't start, I had been teasing the first concept a little bit around music and rights, and it was like, okay, cool. I don't understand really all of that, but
that's the lawyer in you, right? You're wanting to make sure everybody gets paid.
Yeah, exactly. Make sure that rights are protected. IP and authorship is a big deal to me as well, and it's part of our DNA today. But yeah, I think how I initially said it was, I think if we find a way, what I want to do is find a way to automatically place sound in story. And he was, question is how, right? Bunch of different technical things at that point in time. By the way, the whole AI landscape was not what it was today, which it makes it sound like I'm talking like 10 years ago. This was 2 years ago.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
2 years ago. I mean, that these large language models and the state of AI was just not in the state it is today at all.
Right.
So how we were approaching problems like this were vastly different. And he said, yeah, I know for a fact that the act of logging and queuing, which is watching content, watching footage, and notating down what's happening, which is a step that happens before, first, second, third pass of sound gets placed into content, typically on the film and TV side, is super time consuming and very expensive over time. And no one likes to do it. Not even the, assistant editors or the sound designers themselves or the generalist editor. And we had metrics to back that. He left and joined me as a co-founder, and now we're here.
That's it. That's awesome.
So when you talk about Noctal and the sound effects portion of that, and me not knowing a darn thing about that industry, I love music too, but as you insert these sound effects just at the right time, for the right reason, at the right tone, and at the right volume, all of those things tell the story that and that's a question, tell the story that you're trying to tell?
Yeah. So if I'm understanding your question correctly, reframe your question for me so I can answer it correctly.
Reframe this. Not being as knowledgeable, obviously, as you are, when you get into post-production, I mean, I imagine somebody there with a shoebox or a shaker or a clicker or something, putting those sound effects in post-production to enhance the shoe walking across the floor and the creak that happens and the wind rustling in the background. That's kind of where I perceive sound effects in movies.
Yep.
My question to you is that true of what you are doing in offering your product Noctal, or is it deeper than that? And my perception is way off?
No, great question. So two things can be true at once in this case. Your perception is not way off. What might be, I'll expand. So when you're watching a movie, like you said, the footsteps in the creek, the wind rustling, the shirt that, wrinkled when he stood up from the couch, the bullet dropping or the shell casing that you didn't see drop, but you saw him fire the gun, right? The, documentary that didn't have any audio because it's from, whatever, the 20s. And you have this enhanced version. There is a lot of nuance that is taking place in the content you consume in post-production. And almost all of the sound is done in post, at least on the feature film level, right? And short film level. Television, in many instances, same thing. And a lot of the content that we see today on the internet is a part of this category in a slightly different way, which I'll touch on. But because of the frequency and the number of sounds and enhancements that are being added to the content that we consume in film and TV, that footstep in the creek is a bit more complicated than you would think, because are you stepping in a puddle? Let's say are you stepping in a puddle of water underneath a bridge and has an open air tunnel, so it should have more reverb and sound more echoey? Or are you stepping in a creek that's flowing by you in broad daylight in the forest? So where are the chirps coming from? Are there birds? Is it more damp? If there is a mafia movie and a gun gets fired inside of a mansion, that's going to sound different than a gun getting shot outside, right? Or in a car. And so it's all about context. And these context clues are what create the world. And this is what I establish as world building. And there's multiple facets of world building. Sound is more than 50% of the viewing experience cognitively. So watching movies with the sound off, as that saying goes, you're watching a different movie.
Right. Yeah. Sure.
Context. It's all about context. It's all about emotion. The only way you know about a rising tension is typically because they have taken you slowly on the journey in an auditory way to get there. Outside of just music. Music is also a part of this. So that is the purpose, and you're absolutely right. That's the application in a general sense. Now, what we're doing with that, first thing is you need to understand where to place that level of context to enhance that story. So whether you're starting at 0 and you have no sound, or whether you're starting at, I have dialogue in this, or I have some sound in this, what are the context clues that I, as maybe a generalist editor or as a professional sound designer, need to add to enhance or change or alter this story to match my vision? So that part is now more detailed, it is more customizable, and it's certainly, multiple times faster than doing that manually. Now, the next layer that we're working on at Noctal is around this deeper layer that you're referencing, which is, what about, say, effects, right? What about context clues that are more stylistic? Not just understanding there's a footstep. What about the stylistic preferences? And our intelligence layer is analyzing that, right? Which is going to be a combination. We're excited to roll out some new features here pretty soon. So I'll be a little bit close to the chest, but what I can say is, monitoring how people feel and monitoring, if you can take, as an editor, your job as an editor is to take an abstraction of a story and understand the pacing and the intent, and then utilize tools to facilitate what's in your head, but it's still abstract until it's not. Exactly. How do you measure that level of abstraction, and what do you want your tools to do? You want them to be reactive and predictive without losing control. You don't want somebody to facilitate it for you. You just want to do the things you don't want to do, and leave room for taste and artistry. So that deeper layer is a main focus for us.
So is that like changing inflection? So for instance, somebody is shooting inside of a large warehouse, and your raw sound that you're getting from that is not the output that we're seeing and hearing in the theater or on TV. But if an actor is off in their inflection, the context of being stoic and reserved is different than excited and motivated and ambitious, and all of those things that come out in the inflection in somebody's voice, right?
100%.
it makes it more believable, and you connect to that character in a different way if they were stoic versus if they were an excited character.
100%. And you would also connect to that character in a different way if the excited take was put in a more somber context
Yeah.
where there was a lot of breathing room, there wasn't music, there was creaks. He's excited having a conversation in the kitchen, but the surrounding environment is more suitable to something ominous. You take that excitement as maybe something devious or with ill intent,
Right.
right? It's like when you put a laugh, somebody laughing on camera in a different context. Is it an evil laugh? Is it an excited laugh?
Sure.
Or if he's being stoic, is he focused? Is he angry? Is he sad?
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of that is supported by the world around the dialogue, by the world around the actor. It's everything else that makes that sentiment come to life. So all of these stories, this is an art, not a science. You know, technology in many ways is of course a science, but it's an art. And so that level of control, per your example, you want somebody to make that decision. You don't want to automate that away. You want to be able to bring to the surface decision points in order to identify what you do and don't want and choose what to automate for that content.
Yeah.
No, that's great. I mean, this is so informative for me. I know we definitely need to take the time and like jump on Noctal myself, just as a producer, editor myself, and like we're doing a lot of like short film narratives as well.
Oh, run it. I got you.
Oh yeah, like I'm definitely we got to do that.
And we need intro music, by the way.
We need some intro music.
All right. We got a big library, man.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
To kind of go into the just a little segment, and we can touch base on any of this, right? Like again, I know your personal story from the fires in LA that took place, and a lot of people can read about that on tomorrowmagazine.com. It's the article, Conviction and Vision, which dives deeper into that. But where was some of the points, or where's there a place in time where obviously, you found your vision, what you want to do, but was there a moment where things did get blurry, right? It was like, yo, are we doing the right thing? Are investors really paying attention? Are we paying attention? Was there a moment of like, yo, I'm not seeing it anymore what I thought I did? And I know this is still so early stages for you guys. So hopefully there's no crazy problems, but was there a time where it was like, yo, is this going to work?
Yeah. Great question. For sure. I mean, if you don't have blurred vision in the pursuit of realizing your vision, it's probably not a vision to begin with. That's how I would frame that. And so there are moments of having indecisive feelings or being unsure. And that's the point, right? Like this is the lever within a vision of your risk tolerance.
Yep.
I think a strong foundational vision is usually rooted in some level of unknowingness around how that will be facilitated, whether to turn right or left. And there's a big distinction between how different people define what a vision is. Some people like to define a vision as, here's my long-term strategic plan to arrive at this particular thing. And here are the things I can guess or be confident in foreseeing if I'm going to take a right, take a left, or stay straight. And I'm going to go through this predictive maze to get to my end result, and I'll figure the rest out in the middle. That's my vision. I don't subscribe to that particular logic. And my maybe it's a justification to myself when it does get blurry. Who knows? Maybe it's me coping. But how I always go about it, and have gone about it for a long, long time, is that a vision, there is no such thing as a destination when it comes to a vision. There is only direction. And I feel like conversations around vision have been framed as goals. If you have a destination, that's a goal, right? That's not the vision. A vision really persists, and a vision has varying levels of flexibility. It should be able to flex and morph and move within confined boundaries for what you believe you need at that time. And it's alive. The vision is actually living as you are, and it's your job to maintain direction. And so when you're in the, you're in the ocean in the boat that you're building in real time, maybe you get some leaks in the boat, you're trying to build it, you have some people who hop off their canoes into your boat, and you start building a boat together. And that's where your team forms, and that's where that conviction starts to kind of get planted. We care about sinking because we're going to float or sink together.
That's it.
And the only reason they got on that boat is because they trust your ability to steer the ship in a direction they believe is important, has some level of prosperity, and reflects where they think they might want to go as well. And I think a lot of people approach vision with promises that they can't deliver on because they don't actually know what the destination is. They pre-prescribe it because that's their way to cope. So for me, 100%, there have been many, many, many days of questioning to turn right or left, or under trying to get myself up out of bed after staying up for 6 days in a row with less than 3 hours of sleep, one of which being today.
Thank you for your time.
Oh no, I've been looking forward to this, man. This is par for the course, man. There's a lot of people who work a lot harder than I do, but yeah, so that's a long way to answer your question. I've never struggled, if I'm being honest, not recently, with a deep-seated uncertainty around the vision. I question, but no, it's intrinsic because I don't have the pressure of a destination. I know along the way we'll make stops, and I know that if I'm confident in knowing that it will flex, why beat yourself up all the time?
Yeah.
100%.
That's a great point. And I subscribe to how you described it. That's fantastic in the sense that if you've got an endpoint in your vision, it's not really a vision. It's a plan.
It's a plan. And there's plans within visions, right? You execute plans as a part of it.
100%. I mean, that was so beautifully well said. I mean, I think we can all subscribe to that. Just all the different things that we're doing right now. I think what is something that does kind of like, you mentioned those moments where it's like, getting out of, just trying to get out of bed, just like, oh, the next meeting and the next meeting. And it's like, oh, wait, I haven't eaten 13 hours, like those moments, what keeps you grounded a little bit,
Man. Yeah, it's a good, well, for one, I think the people around me, when you're trying to do something that is supposed to be statistically impossible or unlikely, which is to succeed in a very competitive industry with people who have a lot more resources and things than small companies, it's what it takes. And I think you can look at the interviews of all the greats and the entrepreneurs or visionaries or artists who really get to the point in life where they can almost say they're building their magnum opus, or that there's a portion of that magnum opus that's able to be assessed by the public. They will tell you about just the darkest grind days. And it sounds almost cliche because everyone wants to talk about how hard they work. And I found myself falling into the same trap. Actually, a friend of mine was like, you've been saying like you're tired and man, you're working a lot. Like you got to really like reset, like I think we know, you just got to be positive. Like now it's starting to sound a little self-indulgent. And I was like, okay, I don't mean it that way. I'm just
right.
But the truth is it's a grind. And so to be stable, you need the people around you. And right now for me, my team is, imperative to not just what we're doing on a business level or a product level. Like this is life. In order to do this, your life is consumed for a season or multiple seasons. And you have to make sure that everyone who's around you is all in. And that's been my support. And then, if I was to be really honest, I don't move without the understanding of purpose. I know that we all have purpose. I know there's a lot of debates around what that means and who that should be for and the interpretation. I'm not here to tell anybody what they believe and don't believe. But my personal belief is that God is in every detail, and that's going to be a hard thing to quantify and will be taken out as ignorant for some and a truth for others. And that's totally fine with me. I think being controversial on any level is totally fine with me if you mean what you say and you plant your feet where you stand. So on the hard days, it becomes less lonely or more bearable when that vision that I was talking about earlier is rooted in the idea that you have purpose and that the people around you, you're that service for them as well. It's a hand-in-hand thing. Now, on a health level, on a practical, like, should we be balanced, work-life balance, all that? I'd be lying to you if I was like, oh yeah, I get up and I have my warm tea and then I go on a nice walk.
I think we understand you there, brother.
Get my solid 8 hours. Like, no,
solid what hours? I can't count that high when it comes to sleep.
No, I'd be capping for sure. So
that's awesome. Not trying to cut us off. I mean, but we're almost at the hour point here soon, probably like the next 5 to 6 minutes.
Cool.
What we wanted to kind of like, these are kind of just like fun rapid fire questions, right?
Cool.
It might just be one, it might be, 2 to 3. And then once we close out, I'm stealing this from a few different podcasts, and we'll try this out. I would love for you to potentially refer the next guest for us.
Wow.
So think hard and long on that.
Okay.
But so one of these kind of like rapid fire questions, and I mean, you honestly kind of answered this in a way that was like beautiful when we talked about just vision alone. But what do you think? Are founders actually visionaries, or they are actually attached to their own idea?
Oh, I love this question. I'll rapid fire the answer though. I got you. Okay. Oh man. You get both. You can't, it's difficult to be a visionary if you don't have a intimate relationship with the vision, right? And so that is deeply personal. And because it's deeply personal for a lot of creatives and artists and visionary types, it's a double-edged sword. And that's the second part, which is you can be too close to your own ideas. You can be too close, and you lose perspective. It's like seeing a masterpiece on a wall of fine art, and you're too close. You're seeing the details and the intricacies, and they matter, and that's how it was created. But you don't see it at the way it was supposed to be assessed. And when that happens, you can become blind, and that vision can often become self-indulgent. And I think that's a thin line that people need to be careful of.
Great answer to a great question. I tell you, it's like, visionaries very often lose sight of the forest through the trees.
100%. And I understand why, there is a level of vulnerability that you have to be comfortable with if you are okay sharing your actual vision or the pieces that make that vision up, right? It's not binary. It's really personal. I mean, anytime anyone shares, if you're a writer and you write a book or you write a poem or you are a performing artist or you're a graphic designer, or you're an engineer, there's a lot of mediums where you're being assessed.
Yeah.
And your vision is a subjective sport until it's not.
Love that. Do you have one, Patch? I know I have one ready.
No, go right ahead.
Fun tip. So, Colorado Buffaloes, Deion Sanders. What's your take, man?
Oh man, gonna get me in trouble out here. No.
You're in LA. They can't touch you right
now. They can't touch you.
Yeah, I was only there last week. They'll be fine with that. Yeah. All good. No, in actuality though, I think Deion absolutely shifted everything about how sports are perceived in Colorado, but I think nationally. And it really showcased what having that conviction, like I always come back to, I know I'm a broken record on that, but it's being really certain in your steps and not really caring about all of the outside noise. Now, does that have its flaws, and you can always point at something that might have, gone a certain way that you didn't like or something? I'm sure they have a lot of criticisms over Dion. I think it's outweighed by his reality, and I think there's people who understand why some of that criticism might be taking place is not necessarily just related to performance. But it's been exciting. I actually met him at the opening of the cause. I met him, and his son Shadur Sanders is like one of the most famous and influential athletes, certainly of my generation, coming out of college.
100%.
And I respect what that represents. So I'm glad to have him in Boulder, and I'm glad that he's made an impact and shifted culture in a way that I don't think anybody else could have done.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. Well,
would like to win more games, but
we got to win some more games. Yeah, you got to win some more games. Huge fan of Dion and what he's doing in Colorado. But again, I wish we had more time. I mean, we can talk all day. I mean, we probably will be talking all day offline anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
To pop on, and do that session with you with Noctal, just really like kind of learn the ins and outs, because I know there's a lot there that can be useful in our lives as well. And so, again, really appreciate your time. It was an honor to be able to speak with you and sit with you as for the second time for myself. I know John, this is his first time, but I'm sure it won't be the last, for sure.
No,
I certainly hope not. Isaiah, it's been a pleasure talking with you. And as as our premier guest, I would like to invite you back.
Thank you.
100%.
I appreciate it, guys. And thank you for allowing me to be on here with you guys on the first inaugural episode. It's a big deal, and you guys are tastemakers and facilitators of culture and storytelling, and being able to platform people like myself is a huge privilege for me. So thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you. Yeah.
Beautiful.